All right, folks, good afternoon and welcome on back here this Wednesday, June 15th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We got to hop right back to it, folks, here. We have the Phase 2 or Phase 1 class continuing along today, lesson number 2, that is. Great to see some of our students rejoining us, like Norman and Michael. Have Gene, who picked up 98 cents just a moment ago on the AERC trade. Great to see him. Great to see Chris. It's been a pretty good day today, folks. Great to see Nina as well. Don't want to exclude her, of course, but great to see everybody. And, nonetheless, hey, it's been a great day if you have your expectations in check, in line, meaning, we knew that things were going to be slow today for the most part up until 2 o'clock. Now, that being said, there's always going to be a chance to try and catch a runner, a pop, a nice move, if there's a chance, or maybe a good short otherwise, right? So, with that said, it's been a pretty good day. The SIDU trade here pushing back on up right now ended up making a great push once the market did open. So, at first, let's go over this trade, but we do have to, like I said, continue class later on this afternoon. So, we'll kind of just my pre-market data set here. I have to do that on both these charts. Give me a quick moment. All right, so the SIDU trade, to kind of sum this up briefly, ended up making a huge pop in pre-market. Then after the open, it did pop, but it got pretty choppy from there. It was like a nasty move over 3, and for as much as it's like kind of just laying there, choppy in the sideways, range, you don't want to follow it. You expect for anything then more than anything, it's just going to drop and tank, and even worse, like it still teased us. It made a new high even after that point. Then it tanked. Well, throughout the afternoon, it was flat. I was expecting a much bigger pullback down towards like 217, 220. I was on a call with one of our students, Joe, earlier today on a coaching session, and we were following it together. I said to him, hey, if it comes down there, I'll have confidence to try and jump in because that's where I'm expecting support. That's a level I plotted out in pre-market. Well, another level that I ended up plotting and another level that we were talking about from earlier today, because Joe got like 16 cents on this trade, I think, or 15 or 16 cents from 3. It was a nice entry he had, but it ended up pulling back. It died off. And afterwards, well, you don't want to force it. You want to be patient with this thing if it ends up making this exact type of move. Again, I wanted this to, kind of pull back a little bit lower towards 217, 220. And there's still a chance it could do that even like live right now. But it's to say that for as many times as this false broke above this line here, 282, this was the other level I was following with Joe and from earlier when I was trading myself prior to the open. And with that, it took a few false breaks, but fortunately enough, I ended up catching this at a really good time. I ended up going break even at first. I took a really tight stop. So, unfortunately, this actually gave me a second chance to enter because it actually took me out break even and started to pop. I thought it was going to go without me. I was pretty upset about that. Well, I pulled back and then I just repositioned. If it could break back above, obviously keyword if, and we got it. Nice breakout after. And from that point, well, I ended up taking half my trade out right at 301. I told Joe that right away. We finished up our coaching call after that point. But, for right now, I still have half my position remaining on this trade. So, definitely hope to see this push up higher. I'll be honest with you folks. I'm not going to carry this position into class. We're going to do more like live market scenarios coming up next week in the Phase 2 curriculum. Of course, Fausto will do that in Phase 3. So I'm not going to try and get fancy and hold on to this. We're not following this live. If you're joining me in class, that is. I'll get out of this trade before class begins. But yeah, right now it's still looking good. Hopefully before class begins, we get a nice like 50-cent pop from here. How about that? So SIDU, definitely for right now, I'll put back on our list. Now, if it ends up tanking from this point forward as we go through, I have my stop set right from my entry point. So, that's why I took half out. So I'm not trying to get, greedy. I'm not trying to get crazy with my trading. I know I'm teaching class later today. I'm already up from the morning. It's been a decent day, better than the last 2. So I took half profit even here. If this tanks right now and stops me out at 280, care less. It's all right. So as long as I have my stop set, I'm fine here. Now I'll be watching this trade. So if it does pop as we go through here, then I'll definitely hop back to it and likely close out. But let's see what else we got here across the gainers list here first. Market coming off the Fed meeting. I know they ended up raising the discount rates 0.75 points to 1.75%. They ended up changing the Fed funds range to 1.5 to 1.75%. And the last headline I have here, just for what it's worth, Fed officials see unemployment at 3.7% at the end of 2022, 3.9% at the end of 2023, says strongly committed to bringing inflation down to 2%. 2%. All right. We'll see about that. All right. So for right now, we ended up having a continued drop off early here. So I would expect continuation, right? I don't think anything has changed since where we left off with our analysis of the S&P back from Monday of this week. I don't think anything will change from that for a little while. So I'm going to just resort back to that fib channel as far as tech analysis goes. As far as seeing, potential dead cat bounces over time, I'm sure we'll get them. But, long term, yeah, I definitely expect continuous drop off over time on the S&P. So for right now, we'll see if there's any good shorts. SIDU trying to eke back up here. So, we'll follow this on the side. The EVOK trade, just as we go through, not all of them look as good as the SIDU. So EVOK was looking good pre-market until it didn't look good. So it ended up making lower highs, snapped right back down, lower low. And, we're going to be covering that coming up later on this afternoon in class, just for all of us attending live. We're talking about just simple trend recognition and identifying the trend, what to do when a stock is, just trending throughout certain points of the day. We have to talk about exhaustion and how volume incorporates into that. So here, the volume died off rather quick. Perhaps you had that final pop after 10 o'clock and then the volume really died off. But yeah, I mean, right now, I don't expect this to kind of just flat here and then probably open up lower tomorrow. All right, so AERC, another big move. I wish I could tell you I got in on this trade. I missed out. Ended up making a huge break over 15.25. Then from there, took off, went back on the move. And, if you were following it at the time and really had your eye on it, then you could have had an easy trade. And I really say that because this is not an easy stock. Like 99% of the time, this is not really an easy trade based off how illiquid the order book is. So if you were watching the stock throughout the whole morning and you saw that resistance and noticed the false breakouts, much like I did on SIDU at 282, if you got in right off that breakout, it's an easy trade. If you got in and like you chased it and it ran after, it's a gamble and it paid off. But that's where strategy is different than gambling. You're there for the trade, you're watching it. I was not. So it ran without me. I wanted to pull back down to 1750, and obviously did not get that either. So, yeah, I mean, right now, I'll put this on our list because, believe it or not, for as much as this ran, not just today and not just from the last week or so, if you folks recall back like a week or two ago at this point, the stock was like at $253 at one point, right? Well, I'd expect to see at some point for this to begin to tank and pull back down, and it's had its down days. But if you look back on the daily chart, oops, this was $110, right? So for as much as this had dropped off back from mid of last year, perhaps you could see more recovery room. I ended up actually doing a fib retracement from top to bottom just for fun. And just so you know, I think the next line, I think it's like the 20% retracement from bottom to top. It would be at like 2750 roughly. So, that's where I'm saying there's maybe a small chance for this to actually like push up there later on. But the way this is trending right now, to be transparent, doesn't seem that great. If anything, your only saving grace is that it's holding around 20 as support. So, that's the only thing there. Nice little push back up on the S&P actually as we're watching this live. My SPY chart on the 5-minute here, nice little slingshot as we're going live actually. So that's a nice breath of fresh air for right now. We'll see how long that could last. I don't mean to be pessimistic, but just based off what we've covered here, I still expect more of a drop off long term. So, hey, if we get a couple of dead cat bounces along the way, I'll be happy, but we'll see. Let's keep going through though, folks. I mean, hey, we have the AERC. It's like kind of reluctantly on our list right now. The SIDU is on our list. That still looks good for the meantime. Let's see what else we got. CMRA. CMRA had a really nice pop earlier today, and it's making a nice push up as we speak. So it's hard to ignore this one at this point, especially given how strong it looks across the last hour, across the last 40 minutes or so. So yeah, I'll put this on our list. But again, be careful. Just when the volume dies off on this type of trade, much like it will happen on the AERC. It has happened day to day on the AERC, but you should expect to see this to really tank at some point. So it ended up doing so already. It just, if it fails to break higher, if it fails to make a clean break over 4 and flip that into support, then it's going to repeat itself. That's what I mean there. So CMRA looks good. Keep it going. Redbox warrants here. We did trade Redbox earlier today. We, not as in me, but we as in one of our students, Chuck. He killed it on that trade earlier today. It called it out after the market opened. And from there, I mean, not just him, a few of us took it, but that was just one of a few that took off pretty nicely. We'll get to that, I'm sure, at some point. Let's see what else we got here. Just kind of skimming through the gainer side right now. You got the DWAC warrants here. I'll check out DWAC in a bit. I know they got crushed, I think, yesterday, perhaps making a dead cat bounce themselves. I know NEO right now is breaking over 20 live as we speak. So, that's definitely something we'll jump to in just a moment. The Rev stock, I just wanted to look at just because it was a familiar name just the last day or two. So it's not really doing a whole lot right now. Here's Redbox equity. Ooh, nice pop right now. Breaking back over 11, making the test already of 1150. So I don't have my levels on this trade. I'm not as prepared on this as I am on like NEO or like, SIDU. But, Redbox looks great for right now, right? How can we not? So put this right back on our list. Redbox. Beyond Meat, I'll take a look at. I don't know how liquid it is or not, but, it's up big right now. It's at the highs, making a new push here. So, chart looks good. It just, I don't know. For as much as this dropped off, I'm surprised how little volume this thing has been trading. I mean, it feels like back when it was like 160, 140 bucks, it was trading way more volume per day. And, now it's like around like 3 million or so, which I guess is tradable, but the book is really thin because of that. So it makes it like a harder stock to try and follow based off of level 3 and level 4. You do have a pretty big iceberg, at least off of 26 right now. I just saw that from the corner of my eye on the TradeStation Matrix. I'm sure I'll pop back up here in just a bit. But he was about 26,000 shares on the Aerc at 26, conveniently enough. We'll catch him. But, chart looks all right. Up there he is, 29,000. There we go. But yeah, I'll put it on our list for the meantime here. I don't want to build too big of a list here, especially if the market's trending up. There's going to be a lot to focus on in that case. So, again, that's where I don't want to trap myself and like put out like a 20 stock watch list here. So, Roku, a little expensive, but we'll at least check it out. Making the same type of slingshot right now, as is, I'm sure, a lot of things. So, ACAD from earlier today, at least, just wanted to look at it pre-market. It was like crazy. Completely dumped off. I took my eyes off this for a little while. Here's DWAC, the equity. This thing is not looking too great. All right, so there's definitely going to be a lot looking good, folks. You know what? Before I even jump to the losers list here, which there could be a few on there, let me jump to some side list stocks right now. Let me just see what's in the chat board right now. And if there's anything on YouTube right now that looks good, just, type it for me there. From Yehuda, SoFi. I mean, that's a pretty sharp pop for a $5 stock, right? It's like up 1%, but like, that's why I exactly ask you folks, like, if there's anything that looks good. This is making a pretty sharp move right now compared to like a lot of others that we've, called out so far. Steve saying Snap. Yeah, Snap's at the high of the day, and it is up 12%, right? The reason I like this more than some of the others, I mean, it's not moving as sharp, but looking at the daily chart, for as much as Snap dropped off, and Michael, I want to give credit to, he had called it out before we started this meeting, Michael D. He had said Snap sets new yearly low today, but it's up over 9% now. That was at 225. Now it's up 12. Now it's up 12%. So, given how much this stock dropped off, this could be in line for a bit of a short squeeze. So, right now it looks good. The SoFi, I'm going to kind of hold off just for a quick second, but that does look pretty nice. LABU Biotech ETF. So, unless if you really trade ETFs, Mike, and this goes for anyone else, unless if you actually really trade ETFs consistently and know how to trade them outside of reading level 3, because you tell me if this looks easy to read on level 3 right now on my TradeStation Matrix on the far right side, yeah, I don't know. You might be lying. So that's where I say it's a sharp move. I like it. I like the movement. Hey, if you trade ETFs, then you know who you are, right? For those of us that trade UVXY consistently or SQQQ, you know who you are, right? Speaking of which, Johannes, run is making a nice run. I like that. It's up 7%, Sunrun. It's making a decent move. There's a lot that's going to look like this. I feel like I can lean towards the SoFi more because that one we're like collectively more familiar with here as a team. Let's check out Neo. Neo, obviously, I'd be at least interested in looking at Neo. Making a push back up towards the highs from last week, even. But yeah, I mean, all of these look pretty strong, right? AMC, where's Jeffrey at? There's AMC at the high of the day, right? So I can't put everything on here, folks. So you know what? Less is more. Just check out that SoFi trade lastly here. I mean, yeah, SoFi looks sharp, but if the volume dies off, then everything is going to die off. So, just that's the biggest thing to be mindful of. If we happen to see lack of momentum going forward, and granted, we have like an hour and 15 minutes left. So there's time to, see momentum die off, then to see more momentum push into the market, right? And we know what time of the day that usually comes given what we go through in class. So with that said, I think Rich will post the link one more time here coming up. But the phase 1 stock course lining up later on this afternoon at 3:05 Eastern time with the lesson number 2. There we go, Rich. Appreciate you. Just make sure that you click the link right there. You'll get all smoothed away with the tech and audio side of things just so you're good to go. And then I'll be joining the class coming up as soon as we really finish up this meeting. All right, folks. Nice squeeze up here on the S&P and on the SPY right now. How long that will last? I hope it lasts as long as it will. But it's to say, don't be surprised if you happen to have a bit of a pullback. If not by the end of the day today, then maybe overnight. Maybe futures will tank. Who knows? But we'll see what tomorrow brings at least. All right, folks. For those of us not joining me in class later on today and are trading heading into the close, best of luck and best trading. All right, folks. But aside from that, for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, just if you have any questions, feel more than free to send over a quick email to josh@ctutrading.com. I always like to post my email here at the end of these streams for anyone new joining us here. Otherwise, though, if you've heard me enough and wanted to join us inside our live trading room, feel more than free to do so. Go right down to the link on the yellow banner below right there on the stream to get yourself started. And then aside from that, I look forward to seeing most of us coming up in class. Take care.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.